So let's go to the APA and look at what they have to say. So the American Psychological Association. Oh, that camera busted. Oh, well. The American Psychological Association. Zoom in a little bit on this. Your psychology major equals a range of opportunities, right? So here we go. You got a degree in psychology? Got it. Let's get that out of here. Activities director, admissions evaluator, advertising sales representative, alumni director, animal trainer, benefits manager. So for human resources benefits. Career employment counselor. Hey, you can administer the O'Shea. Nice. Career information specialist, caseworker, child development specialist, child welfare placement caseworker, claim supervisor, coach, community organizer. Look at this list is writer, information specialist, job analyst. Look at this massive list of jobs. For a job like an animal trainer, the vast majority of individuals with this job have a high school diploma or less as their highest educational attainment. So a bachelor's degree is not necessarily a prerequisite. In order to be a claims supervisor, so somebody who examines claims in insurance, for an insurance company, nearly 70% have at least a bachelor's degree. Can be filled by different type of major, but depending on your training. To serve as a corrections officer, 89% of individuals have a high school diploma or equivalent. Psychology majors can do well in this area, but so can it. CJ majors, sociology majors, and other. 30% of labor relations specialists hold bachelor's degrees and 25% hold master's degrees. A psychology major could certainly attain this job, but will sometimes be competing with others with higher educational attainment. 30%, oh, I did that one already. Technical writers typically require some college, but as you can imagine, psychology major competing for a position would also be competing with those who are English majors, right? So this is just an exhaustive list. Psychological stress evaluator, psychiatric technician, psychiatric aide or attendant. A lot of people do that with just a bachelor's degree. So huge list, a huge list. Now, what can you do with a master's degree? Well, let's take a look at that as well. Let me zoom in just a smudgy. Okay, so they have this fun little doodle here. So if you have a master's degree, so beyond just a bachelor's degree here, you've gone on and at least done a year or two of a master's program, sometimes 3, depending on what kind of program it is. We have a near my in the city that I live in, the university that's here has a 3-year clinical counseling program. Part of it's online, part of it's in person. It has been online for the vast majority of the past pandemic, right? So what you can do with a master's degree, well, one of the things that a master's degree is going to do is specialize you, right? It's going to start you on the path toward expertise. So choosing which master's degree program is part of the funneling into occupations and into specific jobs that are available, right? So it's not as breadth as a bachelor's degree will give you in that list of psychology, the list of jobs you can get with just a psychology bachelor's degree. This one is going to be, this one's going to be more tuned to what you decided to do. So did you go into an experimental program because you have aims to get a Ph.D.? Is it a clinical program because you want to jump into the marriage and family therapy world? Do you want to jump into the addiction specialist world? Do you want to get a PsyD later because you're doing clinical counseling? Do you want to do a Ph.D.? Or do you want it to be your stepping stone into a medical degree and then use that to catapult yourself into a better position for a psychiatrist, because you want to go to medical school and do the whole, I'm going to be a doctor. And so common master's options exist as what I just said. So clinical path or an experimental path. And these are going to kind of intersect at some points, but mostly, maybe parallel. We'll say they're parallel paths, and sometimes they cross. So experimental is research heavy, of course. You'll end up in a field that is likely cognitive psychology or neuroscience or social psych or developmental psych or something like that. And while a clinical psychology master's is going to either put you on the path towards research as well, but specifically clinical research, or it's going to set you on the path to getting an advanced degree in practice, which could be a PsyD, a doctorate of psychology, which is a clinical degree, which is a practitioner scientist degree, as opposed to a Ph.D., which is a practitioner, which is a scientist practitioner role degree. Or you could just, with that master's degree, just do counseling services, or go and do social work, or go be a licensed clinical psychologist of some description, which gets you directly into the field and gets you start working with people immediately, right? So master's in clinical psychology is often a terminal degree, but doesn't mean you can't, I should say, go and get a doctoral degree. Okay. So it's a terminal degree because you don't, for any particular job that says master's or better, you don't need that doctoral degree to get it. In some states, graduates can provide psychotherapy in practically most states, but in some states you do need to have a license to be able to provide psychotherapy and assessment, and then in which case you can then provide, a space for interns and people who are in programs learning. Master's in experimental psych, again, cognitive psychology, developmental, social, right? This is what I did a master's in experimental before I went to my PhD program. And then my PhD program, I did cognitive psych research. I did technically social cognitive psych research in my master's program, but in my doctoral program, that's when I specialized in cognitive psychology. And then human factors. So I'm going to give a shout out to Psych Queen, because she is a human factors psychologist. And she has a master's degree in human factors. And for a lot of human factors experimental psych programs, they'll specifically say a master's in human factors or human-computer interaction or something along those lines. Typically, those individuals do jump into industry immediately because that's where the need for human factors and other kinds of related experimental psychology is needed. So human-computer interaction, and I'm blanking on the other word for human factors. When I was in my master's program a decade ago at Cal State Northridge, they used to have... Someone's at the front door. Well, I'm going to ignore them. Human factors, there was a human factors program. It has since been retired. There is no human factors program, master's program left at Cal State Northridge in the psych department, which is sad. But I had several friends who did that program and went on to get PhDs in human factors, and they are now working in Silicon Valley, which is pretty awesome. If you think about it. I do also have a friend who has a cognitive psychology PhD who also works in tech, in industry. So not only can you specialize with the experimental psychology in a given field, a lot of tech companies who need this kind of basic experimental design expertise, basic design, not fancy designs, but basic designs are actually getting a lot of play in tech. And so if you want a tech job and you want an industry job, even health services and doing health data analysis. I have a friend who lives in Santa Barbara still. She works for a health data analysis startup, and makes enough money to live in Santa Barbara relatively well. So, but she does have a PhD. I will mention that. But even with master's degrees, you can jump into the that world fairly easily. And then there are some programs that offer you masters in applied psychology areas. So a lot of students, as I mentioned earlier in the stream, a lot of students are fans of forensic psychology because of Criminal Minds and because of things like combining criminal justice with psychology. Then there's industrial organizational psychology. My provost at my college is an IO psychologist. She has worked both in public school university laboratories as well as private laboratories. Before she started at my college, she worked for State Farm, which is based in Bloomington, Illinois. And so the transition wasn't too bad for her because my college isn't too far from Bloomington, Illinois, about half an hour away. So working, she also worked for Bell Labs and all of that stuff as an industrial organizational PhD. But you can do all of those things with just a master's degree, which is an amazing shift. Of course, there's more expertise comes with the doctoral degree than with the master's degree, but it still works. You know, if you don't want to do the doctoral degree and you want the job, then this is a good way to just do a 2-year program. I'm specifically talking about the United States here. Do a 2-year program and then jump into industry right away. Like that's pretty awesome, and not have to do 5 to 7 years, whatever. So first and foremost, the jobs, the actual physical positions that people with master's degrees tend to have do first and foremost end up at colleges and universities. Within sort of academic circles, there are also a huge need for governmental and public positions. So jobs that you can get working for a local, state, or federal government include vocational rehabilitation. This would be like a clinical one, self-reliance specialist, so self-help person, developmental specialist, so working with autistic children because you went and did an ABA or something like that, an applied behavioral analysis thing, and you have a master's degree in developmental, or you have a master's degree in developmental psychology, and so you are now a developmental specialist. Drug and alcohol specialists. Most drug and alcohol specialists or addiction medicine specialists are going to have master's degrees in counseling, okay, with a specialization appended additional letters after their name, essentially. Employment counselors, human resources, parole, psychology program manager, right? So you could work at a county health department and manage the psych programs that the county health department gives, that sort of thing. Rehabilitation counselor, although I feel like vocational, maybe they mean two different things. And then a social services manager, so again, working at the local city or county or state level as the social services coordinator or manager, right? Then we have jobs in healthcare and mental health services, again, all of these kinds of things. I'm not going to go through those all again. Jobs in business, sales, marketing, and advertising. So one of the critical things about psychology that I try to tell everyone that I can is that marketing and advertising are really good gigs if you can find one that you like one that pays well and all of that stuff, because psychology is necessary for marketing and advertising to be effective. The best marketing and advertising campaigns in the history of mankind all have used everyone's psychology against them. And you can thank John Watson for that. The infamous, we'll call him infamous, behaviorist. Hey, GZB, what's up? Welcome to the stream. Catching me toward the end here. I'm gonna finishing up jobs. We've been talking about jobs the whole this time. Did a career decision making chart and whatnot. Catch the VOD. It's fun. Watch me in like 2x speed. Yeah. So human resources manager, advertising agents, or market researchers. So there are market research firms all over the place. Many of them are in the Bay Area. Many of them are in LA, Los Angeles, California. And with a master's degree, just having basic research skills, you can get a job at a market research firm. Yeah, and it's not bad. It's not a bad gig. It's as good as you make it in that case. But you can do it. Employee trainers, public relations representatives, project manager, sales representative, and store manager. I mean, those all involve things like that. You wanted to be a long haul truck driver, but I hate myself. It's good times. So, through 2028, a growth rate of 14%, according to the BLS, which isn't bad, right? So this is the Occupational Outlook Handbook, published by the US BLS, Bureau of Labor Statistics. Employment of psychologists is expected to grow at a rate of 14%, and that's not bad, which is much faster than the average rate of all occupations. So not only is it moving faster than all other occupations, it's there is a lot. You can get a lot with a master's degree, right? You can do a lot of different kinds of jobs. But again, it's going to be funneled based on what kind of master's degree you ended up doing. Of course, many of the jobs will not have psychologists in them, right? Nearly all states restrict the use of the title psychologist to somebody who has a Ph.D. or Psych, which I think is fundamentally flawed, because it's not as though me with a PhD in psychological and brain sciences, that's what my degree is. That's the long form name. I have a doctorate of philosophy in psychological and brain sciences. It's a mouthful. It's not as if I get to control the word psychologist just based purely on that. And the same thing goes with physicians bogarting the word doctor, and all of the people who get up in arms of people with PhDs and PsyDs and EdDs and all of that go, they shouldn't be called doctors. No, because it's physicians who are doctors. It's like, no, you don't get to bogart that word. And I think it's not great that I don't think it's that great that psychologist is restricted to those with doctorate degrees. I don't think that's necessary. If you have a master's degree in experimental psychology, call yourself a psychologist. I don't really care. Call yourself a scientist. That's also one thing that you could do, is call yourself a scientist. I mean, they're just labels. And I understand why. States restrict the word psychologist because they don't want somebody to get like screwed, right? This is a fair practices. These are fair practices kind of laws, right? You know, clear understanding of what you're getting into. If you're seeking a psychologist, they have a doctoral degree. That's fine. I get it. But I don't know. I feel like that has some issues. I don't know. Only PhDs are doctors. Medical doctors are not real doctors. Yeah, just call them physicians. That's what they are. They're all about the physical health of your... Yeah, they can be called physicians. They can be fine with that, you know. They can be fine with that. If people call me a professor, I'm like, no, I'm a psychologist, damn it. All right. I mean, I'm not going to search for jobs you can get as a PhD. I mean, you basically can get overemployed or you're overqualified or underemployed, I guess. I can't remember what the actual term is. But with PhDs, the idea is you're probably going to be working in academia first and foremost. Sort of the idea there. But if you want to break out of the academic, you can do alt-ac careers. So that's working in industry, right? Working in some form of industry. Big tech is where it's at now. You know, you go live in the Bay Area of the United States, go live in London, go live in, what was the other European place that's like booming? It's in Central Europe or something like that. Or go to Austin, Texas. There's a big old tech boom there too. So, you know, that sort of thing. It depends on what you want to do for the rest of your life once you finish that PhD and figure out, or other doctoral degree, I shouldn't just say PhD, but other doctoral degree, and figure out what you're going to do. Again, the kind of program that you go into, PhD, PsyD, any other kind of doctoral degree, is really going to dictate what it is that you are an expert in, right? I don't expect anybody with a PsyD to come and teach a college classroom cognitive psychology. I don't expect them to do that. They probably have no idea. Well, I wouldn't say no idea. They probably have a minimal amount of idea because of the particular training that they did. They probably got some cognitive psych stuff as they were going through, but most of it is being a practitioner in a clinical setting. That's primarily what training that they received, and that's where their skills live. So there's no point in trying to reinvent the wheel once you get that doctoral degree. So the more you funnel, so the more you do education wise, the more you funnel yourself. But then again, of course, you can go work in industry, and that's totally fine. Like I said, with master's programs in like human factors or industrial organizational psychology, most of the people who have those degrees did not go on to get doctorates, and they are working fine jobs with benefits and stability with master's degrees. So I'm not saying you have to go get it. And you saw that massive list of jobs you can get with just a bachelor's degree in psychology, because there's so much you can do. My colleague and I like to joke that it's the best degree because it's so versatile. You can do a ton of stuff with a psychology degree. And so I defy any other main liberal arts major of versatility. I challenge any other liberal arts major or colleges of arts and sciences, you know, depending on if you're at a small slack like me, small liberal arts college, or a state or giant R1 university, Research 1 university. I defy you to find a more versatile degree Just at the bachelor's level. That's my stipulation. Just at the bachelor's level. A more versatile degree than psychology. I will wait. I await your findings. You can come join my Discord. There's my Discord there. You can come join my Discord and tell me how wrong I am, and I will debate you, because I don't think I'm wrong. I don't think I'm wrong. You could say chemistry is really versatile. Okay, yeah. What are you going to do? You going to go help somebody with their problems? I don't think so. Well, here's the thing. I'm going to put a little salt on your wound. Because the salt interacts, you know, it makes a whole lot of fun. Salt. Sodium chloride. Positive sodium ion, negative chlorine ion. Programming? Nope. Nope. You can't. Nope. Definitely not programming. Nothing more versatile than programming. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. No, GZB. Sorry. You can find work in any field. Okay. Okay. Human resources. You good? You gonna be a human resource manager? You can program some programs to be a human resource manager, but I defy you that the skill of programming is not the same thing as the preparation that one would get in a psychology degree or even a programming degree. Programming degrees will teach you how to be a programmer. Yes, I can work in HR. I can automate it. Yeah, all right. See? Got him. All right. I think I'm going to end stream there. With that lovely bit of a challenge.